So the second leg of our trip took us to Amsterdam. And I think when we talked about Indianapolis, we said that we didn't really have any expectations. But with Amsterdam, expectations were definitely there. And truthfully, I don't know if they were really met. And again, maybe they were too high. I don't know. But, I mean, we stayed right there in the hotel that you, Gus, and Hazel stayed in. Valda Park was great. It was very chill. It was huge. And we, ate at that kind of pop-up cafe there that was really cool. But the canal ride was amazing.
Why don't we talk about when we first got there, and we have no euros, and we don't have a European credit card with a chip.
Yeah, who knew about that?
We need to get to the hotel. So when we get to the hotel, we're so excited, but we can't check in yet. So we decide to get something to eat.
Yes.
So we wander around, and we stumble upon this kind of like, I don't know what like Amsterdam, Netherlands equivalent is, but it was kind of like a piazza, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a square, but it was a circle, but it was like a piazza.
Totally.
And there was a Hard Rock Cafe, which Emily was not really about.
I'm like, dude, we're in Amsterdam, really? This is what we're... But
the most unbelievable part, and I would kind of equate this almost to the Esther in Funky Bones, is that as we're leaving, the women sitting next to us had stopped us because I was wearing my Barnes & Noble OK t-shirt, because that's what you wear when you're flying to Amsterdam on your John Green Fault in Our Stars pilgrimage.
Right.
And the women wanted to talk to us about it because they were from Brazil on vacation, didn't plan to be in Amsterdam, but Louisa from Brazil, hi Louisa, really wanted to see the sights from the book as well. So she was there with her Brazil Portuguese copy of The Fault in Our Stars. And so, like,
sat right next to us.
You can't, like...
So as we're leaving, she just stopped us, and she's like, Fault in Our Stars? And she, like, pulls out her book. We're like, what is this life?
Right?
So, cue picture of Louisa.
You can't plan that. Like, that doesn't happen. That's, like, not normal.
So it's like we went
Like, we thought we were going to be the only ones. But it's like happening.
In Indianapolis, where the book was right. I mean, no one knew. So then we go to Europe, and we're just sitting in Hard Rock Cafe, and Louisa from Brazil is like, check out my book. Like, it was crazy.
Upset.
The Anne Frank house
was amazing.
And that's the thing, when everyone keeps talking about it, and again, going back to expectations, that's one thing I can say that, even though it was hyped up for me, it
exceeded.
Exceeded. Just the air in there, just the vibe. And
when they're saying that that's the original bookcase,
like how do you, like, and the original diary, her handwriting.
Right.
And I think you mentioned it in your blog about, seeing, like, when Hazel and Gus were in there and looking at all the names, and Hazel's vow to, like, remember those
the 4 Aaron Franks.
Yeah.
Like, all just the competing, I don't want to say competing, but the multiple, like, layers going on. It was, like, thinking about Anne Frank's, like, real life, thinking about history, thinking about real life, thinking about John Green being there. Obviously he had to have spent a lot of time there to kind of have that depth of understanding to recreate that for Hazel and Gus.
Absolutely.
And then Hazel and Gus, like the fictional layer. There was
a lot to process.
Yeah.
And I think, too, you talked about this in the blog, as John Green talked about it in the book, when you hear Otto Frank. It's kind of getting towards the end of the tour of the house, and just kind of on loop, like every 2 minutes, just hearing how, at the end of the day, parents don't really know their children. And again, you said it, like, when you first hear it, you're just like, well, man, that's pretty intense. But you kind of hear it over and over as you're, reading it. There's these different areas in the house, whether you're reading something or watching another video, and it's just kind of, like, burned in your brain. And it does it. You just, very, very intense.
And if you're going to go to the Anne Frank house, you should get there an hour before it opens, because the line is insane, no matter what time you go.
We read about that in
the tourist book.
Right, so we were kind of prepared for it, but the tourist book also said, go back, around like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and it should kind of mellow out, and that's totally not true.
There was still a line at like 9:15.
Right, meanwhile, I think the house closed at 10 that day. So, yeah, we got there an hour early, and even when we got there an hour early, there was people, like, ready to go, lining up, so it was no joke. But totally, I mean, granted, we didn't have to wait, because we were smart about getting up early, but one of the best things we saw there, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.